everybody. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Fern. We talked about her in the conversation I had with Trisha, and I thought it might be fun to just get a first-hand look at how I use Fern and how she looks in my studio. So I've had this studio for about a year, a little over a year. I found Fern before the studio was even finished. It was still under construction. I was relying on measurements for all of the things that I was getting made or purchasing for my studio, and I'm really not good at math. So, but I found this cabinet and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the shape, and I fell in love with the idea that I could finally have a place to put all my little collections of things. Now, I will say that when I moved to New Mexico, as I met people, one of the things that I kept seeing pop up a lot was this idea of a cabinet of curiosities in people's homes that I would meet. Now, I don't know if it was just coincidental or if it's a theme that I see a lot of in New Mexico, but I really liked this idea of keeping collections of things together and sort of celebrating them in a beautiful cabinet or in a really pretty way, like on a shelf or something like that. I found that really appealing because as I've mentioned, I'm not a minimalist, but I also don't thrive in a lot of chaos around me. So I know myself well enough that I have to have systems and organized areas in place so that I don't have this chaos around me, because it can quickly get to chaos. So I have removed everything out of the case and I've cleaned it. I clean the glass, I clean the wood, and I do this probably, I don't know, 3 times a year, maybe so far. Kind of when the seasons change, feels like when I'm most inspired to make some changes to Fern. And what I'm doing is I take everything out because after I clean the shelves, I want to rearrange everything. I find for myself that when I put a collection up, even that this was true before I had this cabinet, but if I put a collection up, spend time arranging it, and then just leave it forever, which I used to do, I stopped actually seeing it, and I like the idea of calling attention to it once again, like rearranging it or something like that. So that's what I'm doing now. I've got all of my little bits on my work table, so I have to clean them off and put them in here to get back to work. So let's talk a little bit about what's in Fern. So I started putting a few things in here. Now there's 3 drawers down here, and they have my thread, some like video equipment, things that I don't really need that often, so are housed in there. So these 3 are the display stand or the display shelves, and I believe this is meant for like a TV cabinet, which would make a beautiful TV cabinet, or like a stereo cabinet, but we don't really need anything like that. And I am actually commissioning my sister-in-law, who lives in my town and paints beautiful, well, everything she paints is beautiful, but I'm going to commission her to paint the back panel of Fern with florals. So it'll be a different color and it'll have some interest on it. So that's something that we're gonna talk about for 2023. But in the meantime, I've taken everything out and now I'm putting things back. And one of the things that I like to put right in the middle almost every time I rearrange the cabinet are my collection of these pin cushions. So hopefully you can see that, but these are made by an artist from the 60s. Her name was Gemma Tacogna. She made these from paper mache and then painted them. So these are not clay, but they're paper mache, which I think is super cool. So I have, I think I have like 5 of them. I don't know. I don't collect that many of them. Here's what it looks like. Gemma Tacogna is the name. She was in Mexico. And like, for instance, this is also paper mache, but it's like a vase. And then I have this one that's a Gemma Tacogna. And I love this one. I love the little man with the handlebar mustache. So I think I've got 5, and I don't always put all of them out, but or sometimes I do. I just put them all together. But I've got 3 here right now. I think I'm going to stick with 3. And I really like the way each of the top of them is like a pincushion. So I did a little research on these when I started collecting them. And one of the things I read was that the fashion house Nina Ricci used to collect them. And I think they would be so pretty on a windowsill, like lined up, all the different heights and things. My daughter thinks they're creepy, but I don't think they're creepy at all. So anyway, and one of the things that I do to create different heights of things, because I like the way that looks, is I use these little acrylic stands, which I'll link to in this post, but you can buy a set on Amazon that are different heights, and they kind of disappear when you use them as a display. So I've got this one here, for example, on the stand, so that they're all kind of different heights. This one I almost always put in there. This is it's an artist from the UK, and she makes these little teacups and vases and things out of penguin books, which I think is really, really cool. I chose this one several years ago because I like the color of green, and I just thought it was kind of graphic and fun. So I think I'm going to keep this one in there. And then this is also one that I'll link to. If you can see that, it says, Lost Threads. So it's etched on this, and I keep just some fun colors in here. This is definitely only scratching the surface of the embroidery threads that I have. But anyway, I like it. I think it's kind of fun, and it adds a little color to the back. And this guy I found, I think I found it at a thrift store or something back in Seattle. And what I like about it is that I like the color because it's bright, but I also like that it's an X because I do a lot of cross stitch inspired stitching. So I will often put this in there because I like the way it sort of shows up for a little bit of color. So maybe I'll put that back there, if I can see that, just to kind of stand back behind something that's really dark. These, I got 2 of these little, they're like little altars, I think. And what I love about them is they're made from paper. And they are just the sweetest things. They were very inexpensive. I found them on Etsy, and I will link to where I found them. I think she's got ones you can put together yourself, or you can buy your own. And what I was going to do with these is put something bright in there or put a candle in there. It's the time of the year when it gets dark really early. I find myself working in the studio at night when I need overhead lighting or, you know, some sort of supplemental lighting. And honestly, in the summer, I don't ever have to do that. So I have these lights, tea lights that will go in here. They're battery operated, and they come on at the same time every evening, and then they burn for, I don't know, a few hours, and then they go out, and then they'll come on the next night, same time. So they're super fun, and so I'll link to those too, but I think I'm going to put a couple of those in here just for a little supplemental lighting. And then I don't know if you guys burn smudge sticks or things like that, but this is I think this is juniper. I'm not sure, but it is pink. It's bright pink, which I think is so fun. So I haven't had the heart to burn it yet, or smudge with it yet, but I do have it in my studio. I love it. I just like the fact that it's pink. And then these guys here are another thing that I use. I found these at a shop in Santa Fe. I actually don't know the name of it. I had bought them originally because I was going to use them as coat hooks, but I find that I don't really need coat hooks in here. And hang on, let me let my cat in. And so I use them in the cabinet to raise things up. I use them like the acrylic stands I was showing you. Toby wants to get in here, and I'm going to ask him to leave because I just cleaned it. Toby, say hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to go someplace else. There you go. And let's see what else I have. So, vintage sewing notions. I wanted to share a few of those because I'm going to put some of them back in the cabinet. So first one is this little, I'm sure I've shown you guys this before, but this little ivory pincushion. It's Victorian. My mother-in-law, who is no longer with us, purchased this for me. She saw me kind of loving it at an antique market that we were all at years ago. And so she bought it for me. It's got a little pincushion, or excuse me, a little tape measure inside, which is super delicate and will just disintegrate. So I don't pull it out too much. And then on the top is a little flower with the original pins stuck in it. So I'm going to put that in here for sure. Put that right there. And then I've got, this is another more recent addition to my collection, but this is, I believe it's celluloid or plastic, and I'm not sure what era this is from, but it's a little, if you can see it, it's a little bouquet of flowers, but in the very center is a thimble. I just love that it's just something that, you know, it's a very simple thing, but if you have it like this, like looking really sweet and have it out, then you're more, you know, likely to use it. And then this I use with that. I usually pair it with that, but it's a little bowl of fruit, also celluloid, and it's got a tape measure. I just love it. I think I just love like how impractical, but yet practical little ornate tools like this really are. So I'll put those two there too. And then I have this penguin and fish, more modern day pincushion and embroidery scissors. I've had this one for several years. I just love the little face. And I love that it's kind of a new version of Sewing Notions. So I think I'm going to put this one over here. But I love that there's all these faces here looking at us. So here's another pincushion. This is another, it's also celluloid. I don't know the difference between celluloid and plastic. Maybe somebody else does. But it's a little pincushion that's just another bowl of fruit, if you can see that, with a little bow on the top. So I have that one think I'll put that one there beside of him. And I have some old spools of thread that were actually given to me by a friend that I love. These were out. I think I'm going to put these away for this next go round of Fern, this next iteration of Fern. And here's another one. These are just really old. I don't like to keep things like this out indefinitely, just because they're so delicate, and you worry about dry rot and things like that. So here's a little pincushion. It's vintage. I don't even know what it's stuffed with, but anyway, I had that one out. I think I'm going to put that one away this time. This is a really fun one. So this is from Germany, and it's a little guy with a thimble. So he's got a thimble, and then this is his thread. I don't think there's any room for needles in there, but he kind of packs a punch, that one. So I'm going to put him up here. So it looks like I'm doing a little theme of all faces on the top, which I think is pretty fun. So that's kind of my thought process. That's how I use Fern. This is a new sewing notion. It's a Liberty of London sewing kit, that opens up to, I mean, how smart is this? It's got all of this stuff in it that I purchased in a little pincushion in the center. I purchased this from Liberty of London, and I really love it. So I just like seeing it. So I haven't actually used it, but I really like it a lot. And then these little books here, I really hope to find, they were part of a series that came out, I think it was in the 70s. Yeah, 1971, called the Dinner Party series, published in Anaheim, California, 1971. But anyway, they are so fun. This one's called Coffee Party. This one's an Indian curry dinner party. I just purchased this one, a Swiss dinner party. And I love the graphics in them. I think they're super sweet, and they're each, kind of tailored to whatever the party is. But they also have, really fun recipes and things. And I just like the colors. And so I don't have all of them. I don't know how many there are, but I've got, like, this is a French dinner party, British Isles dinner party. So I don't know how many of them there are. I've kind of purchased the ones that I like and that interest me. So I'm looking for a place to put them. I don't have a bookshelf where a book this small would work. So I'm just going to put them in here because I don't want them to fade too much, because I like the colors. But I'm going to put the one, this one's, the back of this Coffee Party one is my favorite. So I'm going to put that one out. So it just kind of calls my attention to it. So that's kind of my process. I'll fill up the rest of the shelves. I sometimes will put some of my vintage photographs of people on quilts in here. But I also will sometimes I rotate things, mainly because I don't want to leave something out where it's going to fade, or leave something out where I'm not going to see it anymore. So that's kind of the idea. So I will share an image of Fern when she's done. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is that normally I have Tiffany inside of Fern. I keep her in there almost all the time because I don't want her to get dust all in the mechanics. And plus she's pretty. I think she deserves a nice display area. So I will dust her off and then probably put her, you know, like I think she usually lives on the shelf here. But it keeps her dust free. It's a really dusty place where we live because the air's dry. So I think she's safest in there. But that's kind of my process. So I would love to hear if you have a way of displaying your collections of things and also what your collections are. I'd love to hear about it. I'm going to get busy finishing Fern, and I'll share an image when she's done.